Kia ora koutou, welcome back. Small red day today, down 790 overall, but I'm hoping I can still trade next week. My account's cutting it close now, so I'm keeping things tight. I had a rough start with a red trade that I should have been out of sooner on, but managed to claw some of it back across the next few trades. There were definitely some missed opportunities, especially on TNON, but I stayed composed and didn't force anything. At the moment, I'm under pressure to keep my account funded, so keeping losses small is a win in itself right now. So let's break down the trades. So first trade I took was actually at the start of pre-market. I was up and just checking what was popping up at the start of pre-market. I actually had NAMM on my screen. I had an order to go at around this level here. And as it was around that level, I decided not to put a trade in because I thought it was just too risky. If I had put a trade in, I might have done pretty well. Maybe. Well, if I'd held it long enough, I may have got something up here, although that might have been a bit hard. But even if it had got up here and held through to this level here, that still would have been a great win, getting in around $5.50, $6 a share with 25 shares, I think it was, or 50 shares. But I didn't take that trade. I missed that, but that was a nice move. Very light volume, I think, though. Was it? Yeah, decent volume. Not massive, but pretty good for pre-market open. The first trade I did take was after it had pulled back. I didn't take these trades here. I missed the opportunity to get in there. I was still a bit hesitant about it coming back up. It did push back up there. What was that to? Around $7.96, $8 from around $7.20. But I waited till it came back down to the 9 EMA here. I got on this candle at 7.32. And it was a bit of a, it was a bit of a falling knife. I'm in at 7.32 and the bottom of this candle is 7.16. So when it dipped down here, I should have really sold around 7.20, around 7.20. It didn't, it bought back up. And because it bought back up, I thought, well, maybe there's a chance of it holding pushing higher. It pushed up to 7.43. It didn't hit my profit target, really, and it pulled back, and then a big red candle down to 6.57. So I ended up taking my exit here on as it pushed back up at 6.74 for a $14.50 loss. So not massive loss, but cents per share wise, well under my stop. My stop should have been around 7.20, 7.15 was probably my stop range really. Sort of around the bottom of this first red candle here. But anyway, moving on from that, that was my first trade, so that put me down 14.50. Next trade I took, it sort of put in these moves here, but it was stair-stepping down. I was waiting for it to confirm and come back up to VWAP and before taking a trade. Possibly an entry here as it broke through the 9 EMA, held the 20 and pushed in up to VWAP. But I've taken so many trades below VWAP as something's been pushing back and it's reversed. So I waited until it actually broke VWAP and then got in. So I broke VWAP here and it pulled back and I thought, oh, I'll take this pullback. And got in at 7.16. It pushed up to 7.88. I did not take it off the table. I was hesitating to take it off the table because I was looking for $8. I really shouldn't do that. Should just, trade the price action. It wasn't going past 788. It popped up there for a very short time and then pulled back. I should have been out, 765, 750 for a profit. And then it pulled all the way back, all the way down to 663. I held through this pullback looking for another rally, and it did rally, and I took my profit at 754. Then it pushed to 8. So it did actually go to 8. Not that I would have got 8, but I should have held this a bit longer until it was showing that it had hit its sort of limit for that run. But didn't do that. But at least I took a profit on this trade. Not as much as the loss. It was only $9.39 on this trade. But pretty risky hold through this period here. Should have been out up here or around this level when it didn't go. Like when it pulled back here and pushed again, that should have been my exit in here. And then when even if I had held it, and because it formed this doji, I should have been out. It should have been getting out there. That's an exit signal for me. But I didn't. I was just looking for a win, a decent win to offset the loss I just made. And that's not a good mindset to have. It's, looking at the trade and trading the price action. So I kind of got lucky with this here. It did rally again and I got out, and it put in a couple more pushes, and then around just before 6 o'clock it started rallying up and put in a new high of 864. So I didn't trade it through this period here. I usually come back to trade around 6:30, so I had missed that move. It pulled back, and that was, I think, pretty much it for NAMM. The other stock I traded was TNON. So TNON was the second stock I traded. It had pushed up just after 8:30, around 8:30 it popped up, and I missed the front side of this move. It pulled back, and I looked at getting in on the 9 EMA. It looked like it was holding here, and I thought it was going to push back up. It didn't. It dipped further down, and I took a 10-cent per share loss, getting out at 122 at the bottom of this dip. Yeah, it hit my stop and I stopped out. So down $14 on this trade. Not much more to say about it. I mean, I could have held and it did rally, but at the time I was like, it hit my stop, I hit the sell key, I was out. When it bought back up here, I probably should have bought back in as it pushed up in this green candle. So I could have been back in at 128, looking for the move back through VWAP. And it did push back up to 148, so it would have been a decent trade with 140 shares or whatever. I didn't buy back in there. It pushed back up to 153, pulled back again, and once again it pushed back through VWAP. I didn't take the break of VWAP at 138. It pushed up here, micro pullback on this candle here. I took it at 145, and then it pulled back even further, so down to 140, 139. It pushed up to 156, and I took an exit at 151. So very small winner on that one. But decent entry on here, on the pullback, micro pullback here. But yeah, missed the entry really here at the break of VWAP. That should have been my entry into this stock around 139. And would have got a slightly better result with 120 shares. So that trade was what was that, $7.20 profit on that one. And then my last trade, I didn't trade it through here, it was pulling back. I watched it during the open, didn't take the entry here at 140. That's where I should have really entered, at 140, around break of VWAP. Even here on this first pullback down to retest the VWAP around 143. It pushed up to 182. I got in here at 175 on this pullback. It pushed straight up to 170, 179, 180, and didn't look like it was going any further, so I got out at 179. Very small trade on that one, quick scalp, and it was only a profit of $4. I was getting pretty tired by this time, and it was sort of coming into the end of my session anyway. And this pulled back down here again to retest VWAP. And that was another entry down here around the 20 EMA, just above VWAP. And that would have been a decent entry as well from 151. I doubt I would have held through to 194, but 188, somewhere around there, 180, that would have been a decent trade to get back in on. But this thing just kept going. And I had shut it down by about here, a 954. I was doing my notes through this period, to be honest, on my trades and doing my chart. So I actually missed this rally back up. And I saw it pulling back here and I thought, oh, it might go again, but I had to go to bed. Anyway, missed all that move and it pushed up to a high of 248. So pretty good move in the end, and pretty strong during the open, TNON. LOBO was another one actually that I kind of got distracted by as well. This was a penny stock. I saw it pop up here and go up to $1.07, and as it pushed up to, at the open here, it pushed up and went into a halt at 87 cents. I did think about taking an entry after the halt, around 90 cents and trying to get 10 cents for it to go to $1. I was right, it did go to $1, it went to $1.07, but I didn't take that trade. And then it pulled back down to the 9 EMA again and was sort of holding the 9 EMA, but I just thought it didn't really push back to $1, so I thought it would roll over. And it did, only to come back later on in the morning and do a sort of a midday push back up to a high of 127, so did pretty well. And, it skyrocketed off the low of 49 cents at the open to $1.50. 50 cents a share on a penny stock. Down here, I could have bought, around 300 shares or something like that, and going 50 cents a share, that would have been a decent trade. But really difficult to, to judge that. So, yeah, but interesting stock. But also I don't trade penny stocks. I have traded them a little bit, but I'm not very good at trading those sort of higher volume ones. So that was pretty much it. So 5 trades in the end, 3 winning, 2 losing, decent accuracy, but risk reward 0.48. My winners were not as big as my losers. So my average loss was $14.25. My average win was $6.86. So that meant I had a loss of $7.91. So $7.91, 5 trades. My fees will be around $10.50 and $7.91. So that brings me under the $200 threshold on my account. So I'll be interested to see if I can still trade next week. I think TradeZero have a minimum of $200 in your account to trade. But in the past, I think that's only been enforced at the end of the month when you go into renewing your platform and stuff like that. But I could be wrong, because last time I actually had a swing trade that meant my account was over the $200 threshold, but that money was obviously tied up in a trade. So be interesting to see if I get cut next week. Well, I'll find out at the end of today probably. But I could try and force trades now, but during post trading, after market trading, after hours trading, I don't think that's gonna be really that profitable. I don't think there's anything really moving either. So trying to squeeze blood out of a stone is not going to work, and I'll probably just end up losing more money. So I'll leave it at that, and then decide, refund my account, what I'm going to do next coming up. So yeah, definitely some mistakes today, but the small red day feels controlled. It's not about winning every trade. It's about staying in the game. I'm actually under the $200 threshold, but I think I'm okay for now. So as long as I stay active this month, well, maybe. It's a waiting game to see if I'll be able to trade next week. Fingers crossed. If you've been following along, every day counts at this stage. So if you're keen to see how this plays out, whether I'm back in the market or out for a while, make sure you're subscribed. I'm showing you the real side of trading, mistakes, growth and all. See you next week. Hei te rā wiki.